Hey Oleg, this is George, or Georgi, and I just wanted to record a short video to go over some of the materials you sent me to give you a little feedback, um, and we'll go from there. But first of all, as you can hear, I speak North American English. I grew up in Toronto, and yeah, Russian is my weaker language of the two. And all right, so let's get right into it because I feel like I can give you a little value in this recording. So first of all, amazing LinkedIn. You're clearly very active on the platform. Um, this is very impressive stuff. I've never had a client or a potential client that's so active and involved. And having read your writing and everything, not to suck up to you, but clearly you're into what you do, and I'm very impressed by that. Now, having said that, there are a few things that you could improve immediately over on this page. So the first thing that jumps out to me, all of this stuff is cool. So you have a company, it's registered on LinkedIn. We can tell by looking over here. Stanford University, very impressive. A lot of connections. Then when we scroll down, a lot of followers too. So you stand out as a thought leader. This, though, could definitely be improved. It says rapidly improve organizational performance, get paid by results. Um, this is, I understand this is what's meant to apply to yourself, but it sounds like a potential call to action or like a job ad. Rapidly improve organizational performance and you will get paid by results. It really could be interpreted like that. So what would usually work best here is either a call to action that lets people know what you do and what you can help them with, or just a straight up description of what you do. So in your case, you would be the founder of your company, or maybe a call to action like contact me if you want to, and then whatever we decide is the call to action. Something similar for this header, which, by the way, a lot of people don't even have headers. This looks beautiful. It's really well designed. Oh, it's a very beautiful, well designed header, but your business more successful than ever is a little vague. It doesn't exactly tell me what you do, and I have to look on the right hand side, which is the last thing that I see, to figure out what you really do. So all in all, just looking here, I would say it's a bit vague, and we could definitely improve this simply by making it clearer. Same here. It's a LinkedIn profile. It's the first thing people see. If an executive is reading this, they're literally giving you seconds before moving on to another page, potentially. So this is unclear. This is a little unclear. Like, this is more clear. But here we could really get into it earlier. So every organization wants to improve. In fact, I found that most organizations already have team members who want to make the organization more successful. Again, I know this might not seem like a big deal to you, but there's 3 lines here, and this is when we really start getting into the meat of it. And I would even just really go a little more direct here. This is a good space to showcase what you've done, give examples of companies you've helped and the degree to which you've helped them. It's a great way to explain exactly what you do. So this is very important stuff. This should be a little further up. And after that, we could talk about your method, your approach to things. And so, like looking here, basically squish the introduction together to make it immediately clear exactly what it is you do. Talk about results and specific companies you've served with examples. Then talk about your method. This is all straightforward stuff. So, alright, that's your LinkedIn and how we could improve it. I think that we could really, get you some better results considering the amount of work you clearly put into LinkedIn and the number of people who recommend you as an expert. Moving on. This is great, but this is needs to be a little more specific for the internet. That's one of the first things that really stands out to me. I really feel like you definitely have done a lot of academic writing in your life and a lot of business writing, but not that much writing for the internet, because the ultimate guide to performance improvement, if we were to Google that, we would find a lot of results for things like sports performance, and let's say probably IT stuff. So this would have to be a little clearer, at least organizational performance improvement, and maybe even talk about the specific niches that you serve, and do it like that. Moving on, the why, how, and what of performance improvement, that's cool, but it's not that exciting. Sorry for being that direct. It's not that super exciting. The intro here is cool. It reads like, again, the executive summary of an academic paper. It's all very good stuff, but you're writing it from a point of view where you assume that the reader is a colleague who understands what you do, but in your business, in your line of business, a lot of time people don't know what you do, and you really have to bring it to them very quickly. So saying get ready to consider the why, the how, and the what of performance improvement is totally accurate, very good. All of this stuff is, very good. But basically, usually in content, we would start here in a blog post, or alternatively, we would really expand this and really introduce you and who you are if we were doing an ebook or a lead magnet. One or the other. This is, it just says strong. I thought this was great. It really is a sign of an advanced person in their niche when they're ready to challenge, commonly accepted knowledge, and you don't just assume that it's necessary. I love this. I thought this was really great. All of this stuff is great. Here again, we get a little bit into stuff which is more like, it assumes the person knows who you are and already respects you, which is likely true in academic circles for you, likely true with your colleagues, likely not necessarily true for the people looking to hire you, especially if it's a C-level, some kind of executive. They're not necessarily interested in hearing about you. They want to know what's in it for them, and I would say we should make that abundantly clear, or we should really then talk more about you and explain why they should care what you think, because I think that they definitely should care what you think. You've spent, 20 years, basically in this business. And, you've put a lot of work in, so people should care, but then we have to tell them why they care. Okay? So how we do it, that's good. Straightforward section. Makes a lot of sense. I really like this part in the list. This is very strong, that it can always be improved, given the depth of knowledge in this content. I think that is just brilliant, very outstanding that you emphasize that. Excellent. All of this stuff pretty much I loved. I thought this was very good. This is like the meat of the content, and I really like it. Here we get sort of to the nuts and bolts of it, and I think that the start of the blog post, if this were a blog post, could just be closer to here. This, or, we should say something like this at the very beginning. This is very good. So if I were doing a blog post, this would sort of be the beginning, and then I would go over, these are going to be the components of the blog post. This is all okay. But I would streamline this a bit. I feel like again, I just feel this could be condensed a little more. Not relevant for academia, but we could definitely streamline this and move on to it more quickly. Now, these points are all very good. Having said that, all right, I'm going to be honest with you because you're going to get a lot of that if we're working together. This is really theoretical stuff. What people really want to see if we're writing for potential clients is that you can directly help them with actionable tips. And you do that later. So I know you can do that. But this reads more like pretty theoretical academic content, like you're trying to teach a student or relate to somebody in academia. I actually don't mind that at all because I am comfortable with academic writing. But like you say yourself, don't let the abundance of methodology scare you. Well, that's a bit hard if I'm running a business and I want to improve my performance. There's just a lot of theoretical information here. And this is way too much for most types of content. If this is going to be academic content published in a peer-reviewed paper, that's great. Other than that, for web content, we would have to really either basically starting from here, we would really have to streamline this or just move it to a slightly later point. I feel awful saying this because I can see how valuable this really is and how much work you clearly have put into this, and makes me feel like a bit of a villain to put it like this. But yeah, for web content, what I would do, for example, is maybe make it a separate ebook, like a lead magnet, which is purely theoretical. But if this is an evergreen pillar post or a series of posts, yeah, that would have to go. This stuff is great. This I actually really loved. This I thought again was great. It goes back to, do you really need this? And you talk very persuasively, and you clearly sound like someone who's done this a lot and studied it a lot. So, this part I loved. This was great. Sorry. So, well, yeah, when I got here, I definitely could hear that you might be a Russian speaker, or rather, knowing that you were a Russian speaker, I could hear how you intended this. But the general points that you make here are good, and your willingness and effort to write in a conversational style is excellent. Having said that, yeah, I mean, we could make this a little softer and more American. And this applies for everything. I see that sometimes you have maybe a minor error here and there, and just things that don't sound like super native speech. And I can help you with that because I'm younger and because I'm, I guess, less academic. So I could help you say things in a way that are more readily clear to your readers. All in all, this part is very good, but it's written in the style of a book. For an ebook, this was great. If we were making a lead magnet or a blog post, we would have to cut this down and dive right into the main thing. Oh, now this stuff, I thought this is like the gold. This is the payoff. This is really what I thought was the best part of the whole thing. This is the juice of this whole thing. This is that actionable advice. And actually, the only problem is there's way too much of it in the sense of, for most web content, this could be like a month's worth of content. By the way, this whole blog post, this could be a month's worth of blog posts. Um,